Today's video is going to discuss Chapter 2.3, Solving Multi-Step Equations. As you can obviously tell from the title, these are going to be a little bit longer problems than you may be used to. But as long as you go step by step, it really shouldn't be much more difficult than what you've been doing in the past. So here in this first problem, I got 11x minus 4 equals 29. So the idea is I want to isolate the variable, right? I want to get the x by itself. So the first thing I got to do, this 11 I'm going to deal with later, the first thing I got to do is this negative 4, the subtracting 4. The opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I'm intentionally saying positive 4 as opposed to add 4, and I'm intentionally calling this a negative 4 as opposed to subtract 4. Okay, so you got to start to think of this number as negative. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0, which means that will cancel out, so I'm left with 11x on this side. Over here on the right side, I got 29 plus 4. 29 plus 4 is 33. Now, I've got the 11 in front of the x, and I need to isolate the x, so I'm going to divide by the number that's in front of the x. That number is 11. Divide both sides by 11, which means I'm left with 1x equals 3. Right? And then what I can do is I can check my answer by putting a 3 back up here, and 11 times 3 is 33. 33 minus 4 equals 29. Now if I come over to this problem, a plus 7, all of that is over 8 equals 5. Again, my goal is to isolate the variable. I need to get the a by itself. So the first thing I got to do is I got to get rid of this 8. And I'm going to have to deal with the 7. I'm just not going to deal with it now. And I know a trick where I can multiply by 8. And if I multiply this by 8, what's going to happen is this 8 and this 8 will cancel themselves out. So I'm going to have to then multiply this side by 8 as well. Because remember, whatever I do to the left, you have to do to the right. These two cancel out. I am left with a plus 7 equals 5 times 8, which is 40. All right, so now I got this a, but I got a by itself in terms of there's a 1 in front of it, but I need to get rid of this plus 7. And I have the 40 over here. If you think of this as a positive 7, the opposite of positive 7 would be negative 7. So I'm going to end up subtracting 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 is 0, so that would cancel out. I'm left with 1a, which is good. And then my answer is 40 minus 7, so I have 33. Again, I can take my answer, I can put it back up here. 33 plus 7 is 40. 40 divided by 8 is 5. Right, the best thing about algebra is you should always be able to check your answer. Now, I got 2 problems for you to practice. You go ahead and pause the video at this time to practice these problems. So this is a 2t minus 6 equals 4. The first thing I got to do is add 6 to both sides. Since this is a negative 6, keep in mind I can only add numbers to numbers, which is why I'm not adding a 6 over here. This goes away. I'm now left with 2t equals 4 plus 6, 10. From here, what I want to do is get rid of the 2, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and t equals 5. Take this substitute back up here. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 minus 6 equals 4, so I know I got the right answer. On this side, very similar to the problem we just did together, I got to get rid of the negative 2 first, which means I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. So I'm going to run out of space. That's not an exponent. This would cancel out, and I'm left with n plus 1, and that is 15 times negative 2, which is negative 30. Now, I got the n by itself, but I need to get rid of this positive 1, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. This cancels out. Now this is where you got to be careful. Negative 30 minus 1 is not negative 29. Negative 30 plus 1 is negative 29. Negative 30 minus 1 is the same as negative 30 plus negative 1, and so this is negative 31. Now had you got negative 29, if you put it back up here to check your answer, you would have noticed it was wrong. So negative 31 plus 1 is negative 30. Negative 30 divided by negative 2, negative divided by negative is positive. So negative 30 divided by negative 2 is positive 15. Okay, so you should always try to check your answer when you're doing algebra. All right, now, 2/3 m minus 5 equals 7. So again, I need to get the m by itself, and so the first thing I'm going to do is deal with the numbers that are that are outside or away from the m, and then I can deal with the coefficient, or the number that's in front of the m. So first thing I'm going to do is add 5. Since I have a negative 5 here, adding 5 is the opposite. That will cancel out, so I have 2/3 m equals 7 plus 5, which is 12. Now, if you remember the multiplicative inverse property, it tells me that I can multiply this by the inverse, and this will become 1, which means that if I do that to this side, I would have to also do it to the right side. So 3/2 times 2/3, or 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 over 6 is 1, so I'm left with 1m, which is what I wanted. And now over here I got 12 times 3/2, or 12 times 1.5, if you really have to change it to decimals. So I would multiply, you could also think of this as 12 over 1, multiply the top, 12 times 3 is 36, 1 times 2 is 2, so this becomes 36 over 2, which is the same as 18. Another way you might see this is 12 divided by 2 is 6, and then 6 times 3 is 18. Either way, it gets you to 18. All right, here's one for you to practice. 3/5 w plus 2 equals 8. Please pause the video at this time to practice this problem. So similar to what we just did, you got a positive 2. I need to do the opposite of positive 2, which is negative 2, so I'm subtracting. This goes away, so I got 3/5 w equals positive 6. Now, if you remember the multiplicative inverse property, which is one that is going to be very helpful if we can become comfortable using this. Sorry, that's a 3. Not a very pretty one, but a 3. 5/3 times 3/5 is 1, or 15 over 15 is 1. So the idea is that now I have w equals 6 times 5/3, 30 over 3, right? 6 times 5, 1 times 3. Or divide the 6 by 3 and you get 2 times the 5. Either way, you should get to 10. Again, you can take this 10, you could substitute it back up here and check your answer. So 3/5 times 10 would be 6, and then 6 plus 2 equals 8. All right, we're getting ready to do some fun algebra. This is the exciting part. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.